thedailymass.com. Experience the Roman Catholic Mass from historic St. Louis Cathedral every day on thedailymass.com. His love, anywhere in the world.
Good evening, I'm Sarah McDonald.
And I'm Jason Angelette. Welcome to Issues in Faith.
Well, we are getting once again into that, we talked last week, that holiday season. The Catholic Women in Action, who have been our guests several times in the last couple of years, are once again sponsoring their Advent mornings of reflection coming up December 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We have 3 locations this time, so we want to encourage our viewers who are interested to attend.
It's a great opportunity, the Advent season, to prepare our hearts. A lot of times we spend a lot of time preparing the house and getting all the right fixings and nice decorations and things up like that. But to remember that not just that external appearance, we need to work on the soul, and we need to work on preparing our hearts for welcoming the Christ child in Christmas. That's right.
And it gets lost in the holiday season, but Advent is a solemn liturgical time just as Lent is.
That's right.
So it's, again, that time to reflect, as you said, on our souls, on our insides, and preparing not for the baby Jesus to come at Christmas, but really for that coming of Christ into our hearts, and at the end when we go to heaven, hopefully to meet him. So as I mentioned, December 2nd we'll be at Mary Queen of Peace Church in Mandeville, and Archbishop Amen will actually be the celebrant for the Mass there and lead the reflections. On December 3rd we'll be at St. Andrew the Apostle, and I am actually one of the speakers there. I don't know how that happened, but
well, you're a great woman in action, so God
you.
bless you, and we'll be praying for you.
Thank you. I will be there with Father John Talamo, the pastor at St. Andrew the Apostle, and Mayor Belinda Constant of Gretna. Wow. Awesome. And then on the 4th, they'll be at their traditional location at St. Francis Xavier in Metairie, and Father Peter Finney III will be the celebrant, and he will be joined by his father as one of the speakers, and Mary Madeline, who has become very active in the church. And so there's Mass, reflection, and also the opportunity for confession, which is another very important part of bringing God's grace.
So North Shore, South Shore, West Bank, all covered, no excuse.
That's right, no excuse. No matter where you are geographically, you can get there. And we'll have more information on the Archdiocesan website, of course, as always. So we want to thank Barbara Windhorst, Cindy Nolan, and their committee of the Catholic Women in Action, Ms. Jane Nolte, for all of the work they do to put these together at both Advent and Lent, to really bring an emphasis on what we as Catholic women and men can do in our daily lives to evangelize and to go closer in our relationships to God.
Sounds awesome. Hope a lot attend, and we'll be praying for you, Sarah.
Thanks so much, Jason. Well, every month, actually, the Goddess brings in speakers from nationally to speak to the group about living their faith in their life. This week, Jason sits down with Randy Hain for more information about what he's doing to bring the new evangelization to life.
Well, Mr. Randy Hain, thank you so much for being with us. I know you're a very busy man and you've got a lot going on, but I appreciate you taking the time to come to the studio, but also come to the great state of Louisiana, talking to some of the Legatus groups, North Shore, South Shore chapters. Tell us about, I'd like to get it first, your conversion to Catholicism. You were a convert in 2006 with your wife and your 2 children, your 2 sons. Tell us about that. What's sparked that and why?
I'll just give you a snippet of the faith story, but I grew up as a Southern Baptist and stopped going to church when I was 16 in South Georgia. Just typical teen rebellion. I just wasn't comfortable with what I was hearing. Decided I just wanted to go my own way. Well, it was 23 years before I came back to any kind of faith at all. Really? My wife and I had 2 children. My oldest son has autism, and I think in my early 30s, God started working on me, I think mainly through my autistic son. Sure. And my heart was starting to melt a little bit. The wall around that heart was starting to melt. And as I got into my early 40s, around 2005, I was at that place, a bit of a crisis, where I had a great career, great family, but I just wasn't sure. I just wasn't sure where I was going anymore. Yes. And eventually that summer of 2005, my wife and I were both led in very different ways to the truth of the Catholic faith. Wow. And I give Alex, my oldest son, credit for starting that process. But in 2005, we both decided to join the church. And that fall, I had profound personal conversion to Christ, very much like Saul on the road to Damascus, that changed my life forever. And I always tell people, I used to say no to God, and it's exhausting to say no to God. I did it for 23 years. Then I started saying yes, and He's just put ample opportunities on my plate to serve Him.
And ample blessings. And you've got 3 great books that are out right now. I'd love people to take a look at them. The first one, The Catholic Briefcase, Practical Tools for Integrating Faith and Work. And it was voted as the best Catholic book of 2011 in the About.com Reader's Choice Awards. Tell us about this book.
Well, I from the very beginning of my conversion, I was very interested in this idea of integrating faith and work, as I had kept my life very siloed and compartmentalized for years. But I really had committed to a new set of priorities with Christ at the center of everything. So this idea of being Catholic at work was very important to me. So I started writing about it and doing ministry work around it. And Liguori Publications reached out to me in 2010 and said, hey, listen, we read your stuff online. Would you like to do a book? I know that's not the way it works for most authors, but God had a plan. And I wrote the book about this very practical way for business people to understand how they can live out that faith at work. And there are a lot of misconceptions about that, but I think the book gives a very practical roadmap for business people to do it.
Well, what are some of the things that people, when they read it, just really stand out for them that you've heard over the years?
Well, for instance, knowing how to pray throughout the day. I challenged the Legatus group last night to pray an hour a day, but I broke it down for them into the Jesuit Daily Examen, how to do a rosary during the day, all those ways, daily Mass, that we can pray throughout the day, but we don't think about it because we're so busy. We try to wedge Jesus into a busy schedule. In fact, we should plan our day around our prayer life and Christ. So praying throughout the day is one area. Another is just learning how to be a loving leader, a joyful Catholic leader. I find that people are drawn to me because I'm happy about my faith. I don't have to really go after them. They come to me and say, I want what you have. And that's what the book's all about, practical ways to do it that we don't often think about.
And then another book, Along the Way, Lessons for an Authentic Journey of Faith. And what do you mean by this authentic journey of faith?
Well, I am very candid, and I find that one of the best ways I can live out the new evangelization is to be honest with people about what I'm going through. So I wrote a book in 4 stages: my conversion, what I had to encounter as a new Catholic, where I've struggled in my faith, and aspirationally where I want my faith to go. So the book is written from the perspective of a pilgrim on a journey, and I'm very honest in the book. So my desire for authenticity hopefully will inspire others to do the same.
Fantastic. And then the third book, Something More, The Professional's Pursuit of a Meaningful Life. I think, one of the things that we were talking about before with the first book, you were talking about the practical tools for integrating the faith in the workplace, is this idea of business, it's not personal, it's business. And you can kind of switch off this sense of compassion and love, and because you got to make the dollar, you got to make the profits. What are some of the things that you get into with this book?
Well, for 20 plus years, I've had this desire to lead a more meaningful life. And since my conversion, I recognize that, making a good living and work is not enough. So for my own life, I've been pursuing that. And in the book, I interviewed 17 men and women around the country, various backgrounds, and tried to capture the essence of what they're doing to lead a meaningful life. And what I found very interesting is many people were pursuing faith, some wanted balance, some wanted intellectual stimulation, but everybody recognized that my work alone is not enough. And for me personally, I will tell you that my desire to serve Christ and my family in that order and then work is really how I've tried to live my life. And the book just captures what all of us are doing to pursue it. And it's been very popular because I think a lot of people are craving that meaning out of life and they don't know where to find it.
Praise God. Well, you've got a great website, integratedcatholiclife.org. Could you tell us about the mission, the purpose of this website? Deacon
Mike Bickerstaff and I founded that in February of 2010, and it originally was designed to be an outlet for some of the articles we were writing. It was a simple blog. Deacon Mike is the tech brains in our operation. I'm the marketing writer guy. But he built a much better website that became Integrated Catholic Life, and it has just exploded. It's 2 guys and the Holy Spirit. And next year we're projecting 3.1 million visitors. Facebook likes are up to 118,000. And it's just, we've invited all these great Catholic writers to contribute their content. And what we try to do is give the reader, all over the world, we have an audience everywhere, practical ways to integrate faith, family, and work with Christ at the center. Very orthodox, very true to our teachings of the magisterium. And it's been very popular because I think we just offer the truth and give people the ways to live out their life. And it's been very popular.
What do you feel is some of maybe the initial fears that people have with maybe trusting God to integrate that life together, integrate that faith? Or maybe is there a need, or if there's a fear of that they won't be successful? What do you see?
I think there's a fear of giving up control. I think pride's a factor. I know for me, pride was a huge obstacle to my own conversion. I tried to do it my way. But when I surrendered, I got back everything that I needed. Notice I said needed, not wanted. But I think people are afraid to give up control, and they're afraid of being judged. They're fearful of how they'll be perceived. And we're made for heaven. We're not made for this world. And we need to act accordingly. And I think we worry way too much about what other people are thinking. We need to worry more about what Christ thinks.
Well, Mr. Randy, thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate all that you're doing. Hope you come back soon. God bless you in your ministry. Again, to find out more about Randy, his books, is also the website that he spoke about again is integratedcatholiclife.org. And we'll be right back.
We're local and educational. WLAE, New Orleans Public Television.
We never forget our best teachers, the ones who do so much more than teach. They inspire and insist we bring our best in everything we do. We find those mentors in our Catholic schools. It's why Catholic school graduates consistently go on to college, land better jobs, embrace faith, and lead. Louisiana Catholic Schools, in a class of their own.
You're watching WLAE, New Orleans Public Television. Find us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Following the BP oil spill, Catholic Charities founded an award-winning program called Spirit of Hope to respond to the needs of those families struggling with the effects of the spill. Now, several years later, the program has morphed into a new Catholic Charities program called Health Guardians. And joining us today to discuss that program are two of our patient navigators, Paula Stewart and Megan Relly. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Well, Megan, tell us a little bit about the origin of both Spirit of Hope and Health Guardians and how they've come to be.
Spirit of Hope came after the BP oil spill. It is a disaster response program, and they were doing case management and behavioral health services in oil spill affected parishes and areas. Dr. Rigamer, the medical director of Catholic Charities, realized as he was providing behavioral health services to these clients that many of them had inappropriate access to health care. He brought on Paula and I to provide that access to healthcare and do patient navigation work. Out of that, we had such success in getting patients access to healthcare, their medications, and that they otherwise would not have had, that we proposed for a grant out of the Louisiana Public Health Institute to do an innovative project modeled after a project in Camden, New Jersey, founded by Dr. Brenner, who happens to have won a MacArthur Genius Award recently.
Yeah.
So now our program has morphed into Health Guardians out of that grant, and we are focusing on patient-centered care for people who frequent hospitals and emergency rooms to access their care.
And Paula, tell us a little bit more about Dr. Brenner's model and how you're putting it into action here.
Yes, so what happens is that we currently receive our referrals from the LSU Interim Hospital, and once we've identified our patients and if they're eligible and appropriate for the Health Guardians program, we bring them in and we patient navigators develop an individualized care plan for them. So basically what that means is finding out what is the root cause of the emergency room visits. A lot of our clients, they come from a population that they're homeless, they have multiple chronic illnesses, and we just search for the core of the problem. Most of them, they may need to be linked with primary care doctors, they may lack resources for medication, medical equipment, what have you. So that is what we work on improving those mechanisms, and it's proven to work. I mean, and it's just a holistic approach. As Megan mentioned, it's the patient-centered model, and with hopes that we will improve the quality of life over time. This works. It's proven to work.
And this has been built on the lessons learned through Spirit of Hope.
Exactly.
Yes. So, and you mentioned you get your referrals right now mostly through the LSU Interim Hospital and that services, but can social workers or others make referrals to the program currently?
Absolutely. We do get most of our referrals from the LSU Hospital, but we also get referrals from other Catholic Charities programs, Archdiocese members, people in the clergy, and then also other hospital social workers that see this as a need in their own hospitals with their own patients.
Right, and as we were preparing for the interview, we were talking about how for so many of us, we're so blessed that some of these things we don't even think of. Some of, it's just common sense, second nature to call your doctor or to drive to the drugstore to get the prescription that you need, or even the Tylenol that you need.
Right.
And for many of the people, most of the clients that you're working with, those are not realities that they face.
Correct.
Yeah. With a limited income, it's difficult sometimes to find transportation to the doctor, and once you're at the doctor, there's a low chance for you to remember exactly what the doctor's saying. You may be nervous, you haven't been in 20 years.
Yes.
One of the things we do is go with the patients to the doctor's appointments and help them to understand what's going on and to make that transition in a comfortable way for the patient.
Absolutely. And Paula, we were talking too, at this time of year, you expect your referrals to go up because as it gets colder, some of the emergency room visits, the jail visits, unfortunately, go up for people looking for resources.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we have clients that go into the emergency room for food. And so that's a great part of it. We also work with Second Harvest Food Bank. We enroll all of our clients with Second Harvest Food Bank just to ensure that they have a supply for food. And certainly, we welcome all internally referrals from all of our programs. We definitely welcome it.
Right, and that's a great aspect of working within Catholic Charities system, the Catholic Charities Network. Some of our Head Start students might have parents or grandparents with chronic diseases who could benefit from this services. And so it really is that womb-to-tomb care that Catholic Charities can provide. So we are getting short on time. How can the community, besides their prayerful support, how can the community help the program?
Yes. We're certainly appreciative of any prayer support, definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
And as we get closer to the end of the year, as we said, the referrals are going to increase, and we do pay for things like medications and medical equipment, food, clothing, housing. So any assistance in that manner would be certainly appreciated as well.
Very good. Well, I want to thank you guys both for being with us, for the work that you do, really an important ministry through Catholic Charities and being that link, as the Archbishop says, all of us are to be the face and hands of Christ to those that we work with. And I know those people who you're working with are very grateful that you've come into their lives. So thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For more information about the program, call 504-310-8751 or go to the Catholic Charities website at ccano.org and search under Physical Health Programs. And this week, we are happy to announce that Catholic Charities is almost halfway to the Archbishop Hannon Community Appeal goal of $1.965 million. A big thank you to all who have already given to the campaign, and for those who want to give, you can go online to ccano.org for more info, and we'll be right back.
We're local and entertaining. WLAE, New Orleans Public Television. The Heart of Woman's New Life Center is its outreach to women in unplanned pregnancies, especially those who are seeking an abortion. Our professional counseling services, combined with free ultrasound tests, provide each woman with the nurturing she needs, while also revealing her unborn child to her. For more information about the life-saving work of Woman's New Life Center, call 504-831-3117 or visit womansnewlife.com.
A few months ago, something new grew out of something old in the Marigny. A former school was turned into a place of help for people of all ages. Named after the first African American to serve as a Catholic bishop in the 20th century, the Bishop Perry Center held a festival to raise money and hope for many in this community. Janet Gross explains.
It was everything Italian at the corner of Dauphine and Touro as the Bishop Perry Center gathered supporters to help fund this brand new mission. But what they really need here now are pants.
And we need more clothes. Men on the street are small. People on the street don't eat well. So they're like a size 32, and we have like size 40s upstairs in men's pants.
The new Bishop Perry Center is a first for the Archdiocese. It's an outreach center based deep in the community.
Our basic approach is invitation, much as Jesus did. When Jesus called the first disciples, he said to them, "Come and see." It was that simple, come and see. And what we ask people here is to come and see what the Catholic Church and what our religious faith has to offer.
This is our chapel. We have Mass every day at noon, Monday through Friday.
When I realized he had a chapel within the walls of the center, it touched my heart. And so with that, I was drawn to come and provide the music every day for the Mass.
They offer so much here with the goal of meeting basic needs.
We're not a soup kitchen. We're not a shelter. We're not that place. Not that we won't help you. We have little bags over there that have immediate needs. We have protein and fruit in these little bags, but we really want to address the whole person. And how do you get from point Z back into society?
It's hard to hear about religion and spirituality and God if all you hear is a grumbling stomach and you lack the basic things to get along in life. We seek to do both the physical as well as the spiritual, and in that minister to the whole person.
So from education to job placement to legal help, the Bishop Perry Center reaches out and brings those who might never go to a church in.
And they like to talk. They like to let you know what's going on in their family. So, you feel like maybe besides teaching them the basics, hopefully they're helping them in their everyday life.
Already the GED program is looking for another volunteer teacher as people on the streets find their way here to hope. And there's that need for clothing too.
This is our heartbeat at this point. Last Tuesday, I guess, I had 14 men waiting to get to our clothing center when I got here.
What they get, they give away. And they hope these fundraisers and donors will let them keep on giving.
If we are to be the church that Jesus Christ founded, and we find people who are lost and hurting, people who are suffering, the question that Jesus will ask is, was the church there? And the church is each and every one of us.
I'm Janet Gross for Issues and Faith.
The Bishop Perry Center is open Monday through Friday from 8 to 4. They're always looking for donations and sponsors as word spreads about the work they're doing and the hope they're handing out in the community.
If you have a question for us or have an idea for a story you'd like to see on air, please write to us at Issues in Faith, 3330 North Causeway Boulevard, Suite 345, Metairie, Louisiana, 70002, or email us at questions@wlea.com. Plus, if you missed an episode, you can catch up online at www.archdiocese-no.org. And that's our program for this evening. For all of us at Issues in Faith, thanks for watching.
We'll be back next week. Hope you join us again soon. Until then, God bless.